Last video, everyone. Last page of the quadratic formula. These are the applications. So go ahead and read number 7. Here's the formula they're talking about. T is time, h is height of the object. So it wants to know how long it takes for the object to strike the ground. The 190 here is already incorporated into the formula there. And that's like the initial height, because if you substitute 0 in here for time, you'll get 190. And that just means at time 0, the height of the object is 190. And that's true. So if you're wondering if that is incorporated in, it is. But it wants to know how long it takes for the object to strike the ground. So when it strikes the ground, the height from the ground, which is h, is 0. This is a very, very common Math 180 question. And you're solving for the time. Okay? On these, you can always try and factor, but I have a feeling what's going to happen is this is not factorable. So you can jump straight into the quadratic formula. So A is negative 16, B is 64, C is 190. So these are going to be a little bit unwieldy here. So we're solving for time. Okay, so t equals negative 64 plus or minus the square root of 64 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 190. All over 2 times negative 16. Okay, so we're going to put all of that stuff under the radical in the calculator. This is the number you get. So that's going to be under the radical. So that's what it looks like so far. So now can you take the square root of that thing? Okay, so when you take the square root of it, this is what you get. So I am actually, let me move off to the side. I'm going to actually put this all in one step in the calculator. Okay, so we were working with that. So you need to look at 2 scenarios. I need to move over here. So negative 64 plus root and then look at the minus version. Okay, so let's pop these in the calculator and let's look at what they look like. Okay, so here's the plus version. Okay, so that is not going to be a useful answer for our purposes. We will not use it because we're solving for time, and that's a negative value. So that gets nixed because it does not apply in terms of the problem. So let's look at the minus version. So what I do is just do second and enter, and then I go in here and change the plus to a minus. .98 to the nearest hundredth of a second. So we want 2 places after the decimal. So the answer is 5.98 seconds. And then lastly, oops, there it is. And then lastly, go ahead and read this one. So there's your formula. X is standing for the speed, D is the distance. So let's see, what's the question? Determine a speed, a safe driving speed. So you'll be solving for X because they want the driving speed. And they give you the distance is 500 feet because the headlights do not illuminate beyond 500 feet. So 500 is being substituted in for the distance. And you're solving for X, which is the speed. Okay, so this is a bit of a more complex problem. The first thing you're going to do is get one side equals 0. So you'll move the 500 over. So you do not want to work with all of these nasty fractions in here. So what you will do is multiply every single thing by 9 to get rid of them. I'm getting 9 because it's the least common multiple of 3 and 9. And really, you're even multiplying that by 9. It's just that it's 0. So if I multiply that by 9, it's 0. If I multiply this by 9, it's just x squared. If I multiply this by 9, I get 33x. And if I multiply that by 9, it has to be everything, y'all. You cannot just multiply a few things by 9. It has to be everything. So quadratic formula, your A value is 1, B value is 33, C value is negative 4,500. Okay, so plug into the quadratic formula. X equals, or yeah, it's X in this case, negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC. All over 2 times 1. Okay, so all in one step in the calculator. Oops. Okay, I didn't put the times 1 in there because we know that that does not affect the value. So this is what's going to be under the radical, 19,089. Okay, so that looks like that. So again, we'll be looking at the plus version, we'll be looking at the minus version, all in one step on your calculator. So stackable fraction. Nearest mile per hour. So 53. Let's just check out the minus one, but I can tell you that it's going to be a negative number, so it will not apply. Okay, so what I do is I do second enter to just get the same entry up, and then I go back and I change this to a minus. It's like copying and pasting. Okay, so that's a negative value, so that does not apply for our purposes. Okay, so this one gives you negative, and the reason why it doesn't apply is because we're solving for speed. So the answer, this is an approximately mark because it is approximate, 53 miles per hour. Yay, everybody. Yay, we're done, we're done, we're done.